If you're a successful woman, the woman everyone looks at and thinks she has it all together, but behind closed doors, you feel drained and disconnected, or maybe you're stuck in patterns that are no longer serving you. This is for you. Maybe you're doing well in your career, you're capable and reliable and ambitious, and people depend on you because you're the woman who always gets things done. But somewhere along the way, you became so good at showing up for everyone else that you stopped fully showing up for yourself. Your life might look productive, but it doesn't always feel aligned. I want to show you a different way of living, one where you can be ambitious without constantly running yourself into the ground, where you don't have to choose between your goals and your well being, or between being there for the people you love and being there for yourself, because there is another way, and it starts with coming back to you. Now, I honestly don't know if we're a fit, and I don't know if my approach will resonate with you. And I'm not here to convince every woman watching this that she needs to work with me. But I do want to share this because this is the work that changed my life. And I've watched it change the lives of the women I've had the privilege of supporting. My name is Deane, and I'm a certified nutrition and wellness coach with certification and training in fitness. And I've been coaching full time as a mind, body, soul transformation coach for just over a year. But let me tell you, that number doesn't tell the whole story. Before becoming a full time coach, I spent 20 years in the agency PR world as a leader, a manager, a mentor, and a problem solver. And honestly, the person that people came to when something needed to get done. And throughout those years, I was always coaching. It wasn't in my job title, but it was how I led. And for me, it was never only about the work. It was about the person doing the work. I wanted to understand what she needed and what she was struggling with and what she wanted to become, and also what was getting in her way. That's why women like my client Elise once asked to have me as their manager. And years later, it's why some of those same women trusted me enough to become their coach. This work may be for you if you're successful on paper, but privately running on empty. If you give your best energy to your work, your family, your team, or your partner, and then realize there's almost nothing left for you. If you've built your success through overworking, overgiving, and always being the strong one, and if you want to feel confident and strong in your body again, or if you know what you're supposed to do, but you still struggle to stay consistent when life gets busy or stressful, you know what? I understand that because I was her. And there was a point in my life when everything looked right from the outside. I was working hard and doing more than what was expected of me and giving 200% every day. I thought that was what success required. And I thought being dependable meant always saying yes. Being valuable meant always being available. And being strong meant pushing through. But behind the scenes, my marriage was starting to feel the cost. And I remember my husband said to me one night, "You give your best energy to work, and I get what's left." That stopped me because in my heart, I knew he was right. I was giving my best energy to work and to the deadlines, the clients, and the next crisis. And it was the people I loved the most that were, just getting whatever energy I had that was left. And it wasn't only my marriage that was suffering. I was sadly losing myself too. And I had put so much of myself into the work because I thought it would give me security and recognition and more happiness. But it felt like the harder I worked, the further away I felt from myself. And so I finally had to ask, what's the point of building a successful life if I'm too depleted to actually experience it? So I made the decision not to burn everything down or become a completely person overnight, but it was a decision to come back to myself. So I started rebuilding my health, my habits, my boundaries, my mindset, and truly my relationship with my body. I started to question what success actually meant to me. Because when you perform, you try to achieve every single box, then you abandon yourself in the process. So that's why I created Love and Lifestyle Mastery. It's a 12-week transformation program for successful women who are ready to reconnect with themselves and build habits that support their real lives to create a life that feels truly aligned, not just productive. And my approach, it's built around three core pillars. The first is the whole self-alignment method, and a lot of wellness programs separate everything. Your nutrition rather is one, your workouts are another, and then mindset, sleep, stress, relationships, they're treated like separate problems. But that isn't how your body or your life works. Your stress affects your sleep, and your sleep affects your energy, hunger, and motivation. And your emotions affect your choices. Your relationship with yourself truly affects every habit that you build. It's all connected because everything flows from the mind. And that's why I coach the whole woman. My client Jen said this beautifully before we worked together. She treated all of those separately. And so putting effort into one area often felt like neglecting another. Through our work, she began to see how each of those parts could support one another instead of competing for her attention. And then eating well stopped feeling like a chore, and movement actually became her anchors. She began to feel this personal and meaningful change instead of, the performance. And it was truly felt most in her energy, and her capacity began to grow for her work, her relationships, her education. This isn't just a plan that I give you. We work together. And so the second part is really called the self-connection practice, because let's be honest, most women already know a lot about what they should be doing. And you probably don't need another person telling you to drink more water and exercise and sleep more and manage your stress. Yes, it's a part of it. But the deeper question is, what happens when life gets hard? And how do you speak to yourself when you miss a workout? What do you do when you feel overwhelmed? Do you listen to your body, or have you become so good at ignoring, overriding those needs that you barely notice them anymore? Self-connection is learning how to hear yourself again. And it's about understanding those underlying emotional patterns without any judgment. It's about noticing your inner critic and responding with something that's more honest and loving instead of judgmental. That was a huge part of my own transformation. For years, I was the ultimate team player. I picked up the slack. I, you know, pitched in for media relations whenever I was called upon, and I contributed to award-winning work. But I wasn't always receiving the recognition or the opportunities I knew I had earned. And for a long time, I internalized that. I wondered if something was wrong with me. And so I eventually had to stop waiting for an industry title or a promotion to confirm my value. I know I had helped and mentored so many women. I had made a difference in their careers and in their lives, and I had to recognize that for myself. I didn't leave the industry angry. I left when I was ready, on my own terms, even knowing that some people might not understand, because my choices couldn't revolve any longer around, keeping others happy or comfortable. I wanted a life that made me feel alive. And I had to learn that caring for myself didn't make me selfish. It made me more present, more honest, and more capable of showing up for the people who mattered. And now we come to the third part. The third part is the real life anchors framework. And that's because transformation doesn't only happen when life is calm. Your habits need to survive the stress and the deadlines and the poor sleep and the days when you can't muster the motivation. That's why I don't build plans around perfection. We create simple anchors that are small, repeatable practices that you can return to yourself when life gets demanding. And it could be movement, It could be nourishment. It could be a moment of stillness or a boundary that protects your energy. My client Elise is a powerful example of this. She's 33 and came from a competitive dance background. She knew how to train hard and push her body. In fact, she became so focused on performing that she'd forget to hydrate or skip breakfast. And so when she stopped competing, she lost some of the structure that had supported her routine. Her eating habits shifted, and she began to feel less connected to her body and less confident in herself. I had known Elise for years, and I was once her manager in PR. So I was honored when she later asked me to coach her as she prepared for her wedding. Now it's nearly 6 months into our work, and she feels stronger than ever. She's also at her lightest weight, but what matters most isn't the number. What matters is that she's learning how to stay connected to herself during stressful seasons. She recently moved through the lead up to a demanding PR launch, the exact kind of situation where old habits could easily return. But she continued showing up for her movement anchors. She kept training and showing up for herself, building the strength and finding the ways to care for herself within a very busy life. That is what I call sustainable change. It's not doing everything perfectly. It's having something supportive to return to. I've also invested deeply in becoming the kind of coach who can guide women through this work. I've invested thousands of dollars in my own transformation, and not because spending money automatically makes someone a good coach, but because I believe the women I serve deserve a coach who is also willing to be coached. Every coach needs a coach. I hired a coach to help me transform my body and prep for the stage as a competitive bodybuilder. It taught me so much about physiology, discipline, and the mental and emotional side of physical change. I also hired a business coach to help me transition out of a 20-year corporate career and into entrepreneurship. And I've worked with mentors and coaches who've challenged me mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and professionally. I'd never ask you to go somewhere within yourself that I haven't been willing to go within myself. Because I'm still learning, I'm still evolving, and I'm still doing the work. Because when you work with me, again, you don't just receive a plan. You have me beside you. I can't do the work for you, but I won't leave you alone in it. We look at your real life, your patterns, your goals, and the woman you're becoming. I'm not here to give you another rigid plan that only works when life is calm. And I'm definitely not here to help you, I don't know if override is the right word, but yes, I'll use override yourself into more efficiency. You don't need more shame or punishment or all or nothing thinking. And you certainly don't need someone to tell you that your struggle is just a lack of willpower. My work goes deeper. We look at why certain patterns keep coming back. And we also look at how the stress, emotions, your identity, nutrition, sleep, and self-worth connect. Because sustainable transformation isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming someone you can trust. That's the larger vision behind Love and Lifestyle Mastery. We are women who are done abandoning ourselves to prove how capable we are. We believe ambition and well-being can coexist, and we believe strength isn't measured by how much pressure or exhaustion we can tolerate. And we also believe caring for ourselves doesn't make us less driven or less successful. It helps us show up with more energy, confidence, honesty, and love. We're not chasing perfection, but we're building lives that feel as good as they do on the inside as they look on the outside. And transformation is personal, but it doesn't have to be lonely. And this isn't about changing your life for 12 weeks only to go back to the way things were. It's about changing how you show up for yourself for the rest of your life. So if something in this spoke to you, send me a message on Instagram at CodeDeaneFit and tell me,
What are you trying to create in your life right now? And where have you lost connection with yourself along the way? I read every message myself, and even if we discover that working together isn't the right fit, I would genuinely love to hear your story. Because maybe you don't need to burn your whole life down, but maybe you just need to come back to yourself. I'm sending you love and light from Toronto. Namaste.